In this video, we're throwing open the gates to Edinburgh in the 1700s, a city that doesn't whisper history, it shouts it. Towering stone tenements, razor-thin closes, smoke in the air, and streets packed with merchants, laborers, and ambition. From the chaos of the Royal Mile to loud market corners and hard-edged civic power rising in stone, every image captures Edinburgh as it surges through a century of pressure, progress, and transformation. If you're ready to walk these streets, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what city or era we should reconstruct next. Number 1. View of Edinburgh from the south, c. 1670, after Wenceslaus Hollar. This engraving presents Edinburgh as a city compressed by geography and necessity, stretched tightly along a narrow volcanic ridge. The castle dominates the skyline, rising directly from the rock rather than sitting upon it, emphasizing its role as both fortress and anchor of urban life. Below, the old town descends in a dense cascade of tall tenements, their verticality revealing how the city responded to extreme crowding by building upward instead of outward. Beyond the ridge, the land opens into fields and slopes, largely undeveloped, highlighting how sharply the city's boundary once ended. Smoke drifts from clustered chimneys, suggesting constant domestic activity within limited space. The image conveys a city shaped by defense, constraint, and long-term pressure, where survival depended on elevation, proximity, and the careful use of every available inch of ground. Number 2. Edinburgh Castle from the Grassmarket, CP 1700. Seen from below, Edinburgh Castle appears less like a building and more like an extension of the landscape itself. The sheer rock face elevates the fortress beyond easy reach, reinforcing its role as an instrument of control rather than comfort. The structures atop the rock are irregular and layered, reflecting centuries of rebuilding after sieges, fires, and political upheaval. At ground level, everyday life continues beneath its shadow, where markets, labor, and movement unfold, with the castle always looming above. This contrast captures the dual nature of the site, a place of immense historical consequence, and, at the same time, a familiar presence woven into daily routine. The image suggests endurance rather than grandeur, a fortress defined not by elegance but by persistence through conflict and time. Number 3. Hay Street, Edinburgh. Early 18th century engraving. This view of Edinburgh's High Street reveals a city in constant motion, confined within narrow space, yet overflowing with activity. Tall tenements press closely together, their windows stacked high above the street, creating a canyon of stone and shadow. Carts, horses, traders, and pedestrians crowd the thoroughfare, turning the street into a shared space for commerce, travel, argument, and spectacle. There is no separation between public and private life here. Doors, stalls, and upper windows all open directly onto the flow below. The density feels overwhelming, but also purposeful. Everything important in the city passes through this corridor. Rather than a simple road, the high street functions as Edinburgh itself, concentrating social, economic, and political life into a single, relentless artery. Number 4. St. Giles's Cathedral and the High Street, late 17th century. St. Giles's Cathedral stands not apart from the city, but embedded within it, surrounded tightly by houses, shops, and traffic. This engraving shows the church absorbing the noise and pressure of everyday life rather than retreating from it. Its walls form part of the street's rhythm, as people pass by for worship, trade, or protest with equal frequency. The cathedral's role extends beyond religion, serving as a focal point for political debate and public gatherings. The proximity of secular buildings emphasizes how faith, authority, and daily survival were deeply intertwined. Rather than dominating the city, St. Giles's reflects it, mirroring Edinburgh's tensions, ambitions, and unrest. The image captures a space where belief and civic life collide, inseparable in both structure and function. Number 5. Palace of Holyroodhouse and Abbey, c. 1700. In contrast to the fortress above the city, the Palace of Holyroodhouse appears grounded, open, and ceremonial. Set at the eastern end of Edinburgh, it marks the transition between dense urban life and the countryside beyond. The palace complex, paired with the ruins of Holyrood Abbey, reflects centuries of royal presence, shaped more by ritual than defense. By the 1700s, its political importance had diminished, yet its symbolic weight remained strong. The openness of the surrounding space suggests accessibility rather than control. This image conveys a quieter form of power, one exercised through court life, ceremony, and tradition rather than military force. It represents a softer counterpart to the castle, completing the city's symbolic spine. Number 6. Edinburgh with the Nor Loch, 17th century engraving. The Nor Loch dominates the foreground of this view, forming a dark artificial barrier beneath Edinburgh Castle. Originally constructed for defense, the water separates the fortified city from the land beyond, reinforcing isolation and protection. Yet its surface appears stagnant, hinting at the less noble role it later assumed as a dumping ground for waste and refuse. Buildings cluster tightly above the loch's edge, as if avoiding contact with it. This image captures a moment when infrastructure designed for survival begins to turn against the city itself. The loch's presence defines Edinburgh's shape, while simultaneously exposing its limitations. It is both shield and burden, reflecting how urban solutions can evolve into problems as cities grow beyond their original constraints. Numbers. Construction of the North Bridge, late 18th century. This engraving records a decisive moment when Edinburgh chose expansion over confinement. The North Bridge rises across the former valley of the Nor Loch, transforming a defensive obstacle into a corridor of growth. Scaffolding, stonework, and open ground dominate the scene, emphasizing construction rather than completion. The bridge's scale signals ambition, linking the medieval Old Town to the planned spaces of the future New Town. Unlike earlier structures shaped by fear and defense, this project reflects confidence and outward thinking. The image conveys transition, showing a city actively reshaping its environment to accommodate new ideas of order, movement, and progress. It marks the moment Edinburgh begins to reinvent itself rather than simply endure. Number 8. Tron Kirk and the High Street, 17th century. The Tron Kirk stands at one of the busiest intersections in Edinburgh, its tower rising above a scene of constant noise and exchange. Built as both a religious and civic marker, it observes the flow of people, goods, and information moving through the city's core. The surrounding street is crowded and uneven, filled with carts, traders, and pedestrians navigating limited space. The church does not dominate, but participates, acting as a visual anchor amid chaos. This image emphasizes how civic order existed alongside disorder, not separate from it. The Tron Kirk represents structure within movement, a reminder that authority and routine were embedded directly in the crowded life of the street. Number 9. George Heriot's Hospital, late 17th century. This engraving presents George Heriot's Hospital as a carefully ordered architectural statement, emphasizing symmetry, balance, and discipline. Unlike the crowded tenements of the Old Town, the building stands isolated and composed, surrounded by open space. Founded as a charitable school, it reflects a growing belief in education as a tool for social stability and improvement. Its scale suggests seriousness and permanence, reinforcing the idea that learning held civic importance equal to defense or religion. The calm geometry contrasts sharply with the chaos of nearby streets, offering a controlled environment within an uncontrolled city. The image conveys optimism, presenting education as a structured response to urban hardship. Number 10. Netherbow Port and the Edinburgh Tolbooth before 1764. The Netherbow Port appears as a narrow gateway funneling movement into and out of the old town, enforcing control through confinement. Nearby, the Tolbooth stands heavy and unavoidable, its solid form embedded directly in the street. Together, they represent the machinery of law, punishment, and authority woven into everyday life. There is no separation between governance and the public. Justice is visible, immediate, and often feared. This image captures the final years of medieval Edinburgh, just before its walls were dismantled. It reflects a city on the brink of transformation, still governed by restriction and oversight, moments before openness and expansion permanently change its character.